She said they on.
Check.
Let us pray. Father, we just thank you for the opportunity we have to come to you in prayer, and thank you for all the blessings that you give us daily as we walk around and look around at what we're blessed with. Father, just be with this meeting tonight, be with each board member and administrations. We make decisions what's best for Henry County. Be with our military men and women that's still fighting for our freedom, that we might stand here tonight and pray, salute the flag, and worship you. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you give us the roll call, please?
This regular meeting of the Henry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, November 13, 2018 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Lewiston, Florida. In attendance are Vice Chair Amber Byrd, Commissioner Darrell Harris, Commissioner Michael Swindle, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Mark Platt, and Clerk Barbara Butler.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want Carson to know they told me that to make sure I only give you 3 minutes each time you speak.
Yes, ma'am.
So, just so you'll be aware of it. At this time, the first thing we're going to bring before the board is the bids.
For the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. I have RFQ 2018-20. You should have an updated staff report on your
Move to
dais.
accept.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Swindle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion moved.
Thank you. Next one I have for you is RFQ 2019-03 for sidewalk design on Old County Road 78.
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Swindle. All in favor say
Aye.
aye. Motion so moved.
Thank you.
We're gonna pull, on the consent, we're gonna pull A2.
A2.
Is there anything else that need to be pulled?
Yes, ma'am. I just had a quick question on the E2 and 3, ma'am. So I'd make a motion to approve the balance.
I second the motion.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle with, A2 and E2 and 3 being pulled at this time. Mr. Park, you wanna?
You want to vote on that?
Oh, I reckon we do then, don't we? All that agree, say aye.
Aye.
Motion stands.
In the minutes for October 9th, there's just under the agenda by district, District 2, Commissioner Harris, he asked about the LaBella Airport Terminal. The last sentence is incorrect. It said the work will be done by county staff, will be done by the contractor. Just want to have that revision made.
That was A2?
That was A2.
Okay.
6 or 7. Not a contractor. Yes, ma'am.
Can I have motion to accept with the changes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. We're gonna move on to E2 and 3. Commissioner Turner had a few questions.
Yes, ma'am. I just was wondering, in reading the in the write-up, it looked like we had gotten 2 parcels. It said we had a donation years ago. You're going to sell those now. One thing that I met with the county administrator today, and I forgot to ask this. I would love to have a map that shows properties that we're in control of. And I know that Commissioner Swindle at one point made a suggestion about potential properties like in Montour and what potential swaps could be on there. And I was just wondering, you're putting these on the market. Have you all looked at that and said, we think they definitely need to go to the private sector, or is there any need for us to have anything out that way? And just, general discussion in terms of this.
Well, E2 and 3, which were the ones that were pulled, those were already declared surplus, already listed for sale, and are proposed for sale.
Yep.
And E4 is a new batch of lots. I don't know if that's really what you're
Okay,
asking
that
about.
is. I apologize, Mark. Yeah. So on the new batch. By the way, I don't I don't know if this was correctly I mean, it's not relevant. You just got to review the packet. But when I got looking at the letters, the nomenclature in the book versus where this is at in the agenda, it was very confusing, but it's okay. I mean, I know it's in there. I just go through the agenda and find everything.
It's a new deal.
It is, right? Okay, good. I was just making sure.
Keith is gone.
But it's not with what it was supposed to be, right? Okay. Because this, I think technically the A, B, C, D, and E's and all that stuff.
That's for the public.
Yep, but none of those were with consent. So, okay, good. But they're behind consent in there. Anyway, so, Mark, the gist is
So for the E4 wheeler lots, you're wanting to know about why,
we're pushing all of those to the market.
with the exception of 2 older holds that are now being released to market and 2 new acquisitions that are being moved to hold. Shane can explain.
What's the reasoning?
Okay, we had them scattered like a shotgun shell, but not as bad as Montour, like 1 or 2, and we kept them as places that we could actually store equipment if need be.
Oh,
And then we actually picked up some more recently, and 2 of them were side by side on a corner, and that's better. So we surplus the other 2 that we were holding. So
Gotcha.
that way, if we're doing construction or something, we can clear that lot.
got you a lay down area. Everything's ready to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we don't need the other ones.
That's good to hear then. So your thoughts here are exactly what I anticipated, and it's right in line with what I'm saying. But I would love to know throughout the county what we have that's available like that. And then this goes right into the affordable housing conversation that we've had for quite some time as well.
Right.
About
We have maps of what we're holding and
Yep.
what's surplus. We already
Perfect.
have those done.
Perfect.
It's
Okay.
even further than affordable housing. I mean, you're talking schools, EMT, fire stations, and strategically placing things, and that's where our
Commissioner Swindle?
planner is.
And Commissioner Swindle, let me go a step further then, and obviously I don't want to drill down into this too deep tonight, but Ms. Emblidge, you talk in there of like a $16,000, or we have some money in an account, we've utilized a little bit of it. I foresee a day where that account could have, $250,000 in it, let's say, and our school board comes to us and says, hey, you guys own 5 lots that are centrally located in the county. By the way, 2 of those 5 have a single family home on them, and now the county could get into a situation where we potentially make that available to a critical need that is not being met in the county, of being it a teacher or a EMT or a junior engineer for Shane's department or something like that, and just, seeing what's potentially out there. And it's a long number of years before we get to that level, but, just not trying to not know where they're at. So.
No, you really bring up a good idea that I was planning on talking with the executive team and then bringing it before the board, that I just recently came across an approach that has been used elsewhere, and that is where we would take our surplus properties, put out, there's some legal wranglings, but put out RFQs for builders to build on those lots
They get a percentage
specifically
thereof, yeah.
for school teachers, county employees, and come up with the covenants and restrictions that would have to go with it. Try to keep his arm's length, that the county's not really into real estate, but
Yep.
there's an opportunity for us to broker these situations. And I think that to me, that is probably one of our best opportunities in the near future of being able to provide that housing and make it work for the builder as
Yep.
well, but still have those those restrictions that it has to be kept within basically the family of county employees and so on. But Mark, don't have a heart attack. We're not going to do anything. I'm teasing. 'Cause it's like,
Shaking now.
I know that there's legal wranglings with all of that, but it was something that I wanted to bring up. And to that end, the agenda item that I do have on there for our special fund that we have, I was going to propose that our next list of surplus properties, that we create a different fund, because this one is governed by 125 yada yada something, and so it's very restrictive. So what I was going to propose is another fund that would allow us to use the dollars. We would have to create guidelines and program, but we'd follow some of the program's criteria that are in place, just for help being helpful in that way.
Yes, ma'am.
But then we would be able to use those dollars at our discretion with a new program that would help more of the workforce housing.
And what you're talking about has a lot to do with the location too. Because
Yeah.
you gotta
Oh, it's
have the
very
right,
location,
you gotta
sure.
have the right location to do
Which is,
what you want to do.
which is more reason to go back to Commissioner Turner's original question, and how can we cluster some of the properties that are owned and horse trade back and forth to get where we want, which the location is more desirable. So it's a
Is
great
some
idea.
of them already clustered
We
out
can
there?
get an updated map. We had a map that we've looked at some time ago. And we
Yeah,
just
just
need to get it
recently we've
updated.
had it updated.
Yeah,
Yep.
and get you a
'Cause
copy of
it-
it.
if
And do you want us to present it at a board meeting, or do you want us to just to email it to you all and
Let's
we can
email
have
it.
a discussion that
Email.
way?
I'd like to just have it emailed, and then
Okay.
I think if it creates a broader discussion that I feel needs to be had, or any of you all feel,
Okay.
then we bring it back beforehand. But I think this is definitely just a staff level discussion at this point, with us familiarizing ourselves with what is available in the inventory.
Okay.
Yep.
Great idea.
I think that's a great idea. We know housing is very important right now. And I mean, we talked about in time past, we're going to wait till that time come and we're going to get stuck.
Yes, ma'am.
So we need to make sure that we have housing lined up. With that being said,
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve item E2 and 3 from the consent.
Second the motion?
okay, motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we're gonna move on to, there's no awards and appearance, so we're gonna move on to public hearing. This is a public hearing. Anybody of the public wish to speak and actually fill out a card for me, please? That you, Miss Margaret?
Okay. The first public hearing agenda item is regarding an amendment to the Hendry County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1-14.5, the noise control, Section 1-14.5-1, Sub 2, regarding definitions. And this amendment was presented to you back in the spring.
Madam Chair, is this 18-0003? No,
This is
this is the previous.
1-14.
Okay, all right. This is the noise ordinance.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. All in favor?
Was-
Aye.
Just, if you would just invite public comment on this, on each time there's a public hearing.
Okay. Anyone in the public wish to speak? At this time, motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion stand. Item B.
This is the agenda item I was referring to earlier regarding amending the resolution where we've established an affordable housing program where we take the proceeds of some of our surplus sales.
I make a motion to approve the proposed resolution.
I'll second the motion.
Motion moved by, I'm sorry. Is anyone from the public wish to speak?
I got a question to ask them.
Okay.
They don't. So, and I don't have a problem with it, but I just wanted to clarify, Ms. Emily John, under the background of the second paragraph,
Yes,
you
sir.
said you were able to assist 2 families, and you still had a pretty large, to the tune of what, $1,700, but still with a $16,000, balance. Was
Yes.
there just not a lot of interest? Was not a lot of people didn't qualify, or?
Qualification was
Okay.
really which is why I stretched some of these, being able to add some additional assistance on what's allowed. Here is, again, this is, because it's under the Florida Statutes 125.379, we're limited to the definition of affordable housing, which is our lower income. And we're finding that the folks that really are in need, I'll just say that differently. Other folks that are in need that are coming to us are in that next bracket of income, which is why we need to look at another program that we talked about.
I agree, and I would say sooner rather than later, because we
Yes.
know the need is there, and we still see
Absolutely.
blue tarps that are a year and a half, a year and 2 months old.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother realm of what I was just talking about. We're talking about just, either new or reused housing stock for
Right.
our county employees and such.
Sure.
But anyway, I know we keep seeing the blue tarps, but that's why we have our Unmet Needs Coalition that's out there with various other programs that are out there too. So there's more assistance available for those folks that were impacted by Irma and have those blue tarps. Again, one of our challenges with having those programs available is getting the word out.
Yeah.
Do you have a waiting list
For
for the housing and
Is there more? Because you got two, in other words, are there more in the hopper?
is there?
no, we don't. We have, we don't have others that are in the hopper for this. And
The biggest
which,
reason is they're qualifying out because of the amount of money that they make.
yes,
Their income's
But
precluded from doing
all those that you're talking about, the organizations and stuff, it takes forever for that to ever get to where it's really in their hands.
yeah. And I know that that's been happening, but from what I understand is that they're actually stepping that up, that the log jam that was there has kind of loosened up a little bit, but I couldn't tell you exactly.
Because I gave them phone numbers and they contacted the people, and some of them they had to go to their house
Uh-huh,
and do the paperwork
sure.
for the
Well, they
handicapped
They
kids.
just got social workers out.
They've
in-
hired.
Yes, they
some
just
more.
hired some more social workers
Yes.
that's going out in the field. I
Right.
spoke with her
Because
the
that's the
other
only
day.
way they're going to get it. Somebody's going to have to go help.
Sure.
But they do have a great list, so.
Yeah, they have
but
a
they
big.
did hire some more social
Yes.
workers that's going out into the field now to
Right.
assist, so.
Okay, anything else?
No, ma'am. Not for me.
Any from the public like to speak? Who motioned that?
I did.
Carson.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any more questions? We're gonna move on to item C.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve
Second.
so that the county can transmit CPA 18-0003.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to speak? Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Harris. Would you like to speak?
I don't, if no one likes, is interested in speaking, I have no problem, no opposition. This is a great project. It is
Yeah.
in my district. It is the epitome of being able to move land forward and create a better footprint for Hendry County. So good work to the county, good work to engineering firms that are involved in making it happen. I appreciate the proactive work, and I hope to see some productivity there on that very shortly. That helps us. So thank you all involved.
In the next year or two.
Not sooner.
Anyone from the public? Okay. We're gonna move on to item,
Got a vote.
no, we
No.
didn't. Didn't we vote?
No,
Okay.
we didn't vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion moves.
You wanna do the next
one? Is it D? That's
I
D?
move to transmit
Second.
petition CPA 18-0004 for the same reason.
Anyone from the public wish to speak? Motion by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion stands. We're
Okay.
gonna move on.
I
to
can go
that
home
E.
now.
Where I'm at.
That's a big chunk of land.
You ready for the solid waste ordinance
Yes,
amendment?
It's, well, the public hearing for the, yes, the solid waste, but this is,
Madam Chair,
yes.
are y'all ready to take action on this tonight?
I hope not.
I feel woefully
On the solid waste.
unprepared.
No, what I got to say is, I couldn't take action on it tonight. I'd like to keep it right now the same as we had it.
Just to be clear, there's two solid waste items on the agenda.
Yeah.
One is this
Hey, dude, man.
ordinance amendment. This is cleanup,
Okay.
pretty
yeah,
minor stuff. I'm not in the ordinance amendment. I understand you have some concerns about toters.
Yeah.
That's a separate item. That is not an ordinance item.
Okay,
That's-
well,
there's-
which one, is E together or separate?
No, they're separate. This
separate.
is the public hearing ordinance amendment. Later in staff reports, Shane's going to be talking about the toters.
Okay. So you're just talking about the resolution?
No, the ordinance, and it's
Okay.
pretty it's very minor stuff. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know why we delay this.
If you all are good with that, I'm all about transmitting or voting to approve said ordinance.
Yep.
As it relates to any change in fees, the services being rendered and all that, I can't
No,
I
I
can't
know.
take action on it tonight. Not because I'm not prepared to discuss it. It's just I'm not comfortable enough yet. I still want to have some other conversations with vendor and get educated much more.
I don't
in depth.
disagree.
Okay.
So, but we need to focus on the ordinance first.
Right, that's
Okay.
the first, that's.
You want to outline it for us, Mark, so that we're all clear, so that there's no ambiguity there?
Sure. Currently, television sets are considered bulk solid waste, so they have to be picked up under a special pickup. Under this ordinance, if it's 60 pounds or less, it will be considered standard waste, and it can be put out curbside with the weekly or biweekly pickup. And so this is to clarify that, to provide that greater level of service, if you will. RV parks are listed under our current ordinance as being basically residences, and there's a statute that says that we have to treat them like commercial units. They're supposed to be on commercial accounts, not residential accounts. That's a cleanup issue that we really need to do to comply with state law. Currently, our ordinance states a maximum of 35 gallons capacity on containers, and we've added language that says if it's a contractor-provided container for mechanical pickup, it can be greater than 35 gallons. So we're already we're doing that already. And right, Shane, in Port LaBelle and Harlem, we're already over 35 gallons, so our ordinance is
Considerably.
is not in compliance with the practice. So this is to get us in compliance with that. There's a prohibition that mechanical containers may not have drainage. It may not have to be leak proof. They can't allow anything out. And there's actually some containers, I think the ones that are like commercial kind of containers, they have a drain. And so our ordinance is impractical with what's actually done.
Sure.
And then there's a typo with, this is under, this is changing one word. Bear with me here. Yeah, and under residential unit, it just got bad English. It says individuals lots, and it's supposed to be individual lots, so we're striking the S.
Okay.
And so that's it.
I move to adopt the amendments to the solid waste ordinance.
Second.
Discussion. Madam Chair, I understand we're trying to clean this up. This was the reason, a portion of why I was just hesitant on pulling the trigger on this tonight. Sets weighing, so what I'm understanding this to say is that television sets weighing over 60 pounds qualify as bulk solid waste. That means if your TV is 60 pounds or more and you put it out on the curb, then you have to arrange for it to be picked up.
Right now, every TV, even the little dinky one, would have to be a special pickup.
Okay.
So we're relaxing things, making it more
Easier.
Customer friendly to allow the less than 60-pound sets to just go out with the trash can on Monday morning.
That's what they do. They were putting them out and they just leave them.
Yeah.
And so what did the waste hauler say? Is there anyone here representing the waste hauler? There's not, is there? No.
We asked them about this threshold. We asked them what should be the cutoff. If you remember from June, we said large sets are bulk and not large are not bulk. And one of you pointed out, what's large? Good point. And so we went to the contractor and they said, make 60 pounds the cutoff. So that's
I mean,
all
the
know.
flat screen TVs, some of them are not 60 pounds, they're just large.
Yeah,
They just flat, but they're not large. Would you consider that bulk?
I'm gonna make a prediction that we're still gonna have TVs on the curb. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because it's going to be too big now.
Well, they'll have to call in then.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though, Commissioner Harris, is that they don't want to call in. They want to we get paid to make sure that when people put their trash on the side of the road, or they call 911 and they request an ambulance, or a dog's running after their kid, those things get dealt with. Or when it rains real hard, the water goes away and mosquitoes don't bite them too much. And I think what we're doing, I'm afraid that we're going to give the waste hauler the ability to squirt out of it again and say, well, it's another charge that's going to come from them to the constituent.
I don't think there's no charge.
There's no charge, even if they call and they say, come pick up your giant TV. That's right. There's no charge. No. What about your fridge?
No.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. That helps. That helps me give a little bit of heartburn away.
So who do they call? They call code enforcement?
No, ma'am.
They call
They call the
the
waste
actual
hauler
waste hauler?
proper, or is it special districts?
They can call special district, they can call the waste hauler.
either
If they
one.
call special districts, will special districts relay the message? And they don't need to do that electronically via an email?
No,
They can-
do it via email, they can call.
Okay.
however,
All right.
And then if I get a call, I usually just contact WSI myself and they take care of it.
Yes, sir.
Road and Bridge sees it, I just contact them.
They're good about doing that.
Okay. They're good in your neighborhood?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a lot of it.
All right. The RV parks aspect, what are the unintended consequences of that? And what qualifies an RV park? Case in point, I know it's inside the city of Clewiston's limits, but let me give one. And county.
Out there at Henry Isles, though.
Grandma,
At Henry Isles?
Well, they're on
You
that's
take it
Glades.
right?
That's Glades, but yeah, that's right.
Grandma's Grove.
Okay, no, let's
Grandma's
don't do
Grove.
that one. Wait. Okay, so Grandma's Grove.
Right.
How does Grandma's Grove's garbage get picked up now?
They go through there and pick it up, huh? They have they do have a commercial dumpster. I've been through there, and they dump it in there and they pick it up.
So every individual dumps their garbage in the dumpster at Grandma's Grove.
If I recall correctly, Grandma's Groves has a dumpster.
Yeah,
They
because
contract
one
with-
time it's too small, so they had a fit about that.
So okay. So what happens so a mobile home trailer park and a recreational vehicle trailer park, hold on, Shane, don't sit down, are different. Is that correct?
Well, the statute that we're trying to comply with says that recreational vehicle parks regulated under Florida statute, chapter 513, may not be treated as residential units.
They
have
may
to
not be treated. So they have to have a dumpster.
They'd be treated as a commercial account.
They can't have individual accounts.
Right. Well, they could if they paid the per. There's small cans available even under commercial accounts, but it's a commercial account. It's not the special assessment. Commercial accounts are a bill, an invoice
Directly from the waste hauler to the private entity.
Right. And residential true dwellings are treated as a special assessment that's on the tax bill that we collect the money and we pay the hauler, and so that's the difference. As far as we did come up with a list of all the parks, all the Chapter 513 RV parks in Hendry County. I don't have it with me right now, but I know Grandma's Grove was one, Palms and Pine was another in the south near Felda. KOA over here was one.
Yes, sir.
Is that Holiday Isles or is Holiday Isles another one?
I think Holiday Isles is over here by New Harvest Church.
I think that's an RV.
Yep.
I think that's the one. Then there's maybe one more on the east side. Mobile home parks generally are not.
Mobile home parks have individual assessment that occurs to
Yeah.
said constituent.
Well, if they're separately owned, for sure.
It may be
but if
to a
it's-
gross owner that has to pay all the
if it's
individuals.
all rented,
Yes, sir.
out. But it's whether it's a 513 RV park.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of parks under that are regulated, and it's not, and I can't remember them all, but there's like 4 or 5 different flavors of mobile home park, RV park, campground. There's all different kinds.
Okay.
Didn't you say, Mark, this affects our assessments with West and East Recreation?
It affects recreation too.
Because they've been
It
charging.
could affect
in the past.
mosquito as well. I mean, this change doesn't. This is a solid waste change, but the statute is, and it's on the books for a few years, and we were just, became aware of it. It says that we're not to treat RV parks as residential dwellings. We're to
Even
treat
if-
them as a commercial site.
And they cannot be there year round and still be treated that way.
Right. The fact that the RV sits parked year round is not determinative. There's other factors. It's Chapter 513 is a health department
Because you
statute.
said the city said if 6 months they were okay, after 6 they'd be treated different.
Well, that may be for a zoning reason, but I'm talking about for
Right.
we're just,
It had something to do with the rec too.
well, that's the same reason that rec is an assessment upon dwellings. And so an
So
RV is not a dwelling. I mean, people may live there, but it doesn't constitute a residential dwelling within the meaning of the law.
So they're not going to pay anything.
For
Did you say-
recreation.
Did you say an RV does not constitute a dwelling within the letter of the law?
I did say that, but what I mean to say is that with the statute says don't treat an RV park under 513 as a residential unit. That's what we're complying with. That's all we're trying to comply with is that statutory directive, presumably advanced by the RV park industry in Florida to say don't assess us as if we're residences because
But
we're not.
assess them
they
as
say.
commercial.
Hey, Mark, does it go further? Does it go further to say that they should be utilized as temporary residences?
No,
No?
it's not about zoning. It's not about, it's about special assessments is what it's about.
But they use the facility, so they'll be using them without paying a fee.
And we would need to,
Well, not theoretically. I mean, because the,
No.
the owner of that park's paying an overarching fee
He's
that's
not paying
assessed
a
for it.
penny for recreation.
but you're talking about recreation. It's all about solid waste.
Okay, but hold on though. But this, I think what Commissioner Harris is saying, and if he's not, then I'm going to say it, is that this is an issue that we need to drill down on, because we have a fair amount of our population that lives in an RV park.
We need to hold up just a few minutes because we have a 5:30 public hearing that's supposed to take place at 5:30. Am I
think we're
right?
in it.
We can do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're done.
All right, continue.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. We have, I think, a population. I don't know what the volume of said population is, that are living in RV parks, that are utilizing services,
Right.
and they nor the commercial owner
Right.
are potentially paying into the other services that are being rendered to them. And it's one more example of us potentially making ourselves attractive to a population that doesn't have the means or even the desire to pay, and yet they're living in and utilizing all of our
But if
services.
it wasn't brought to our attention, what makes you think it's brought to their attention?
And
Well,
I'll
it's-
admit my ignorance
it's gonna
because
be.
I just assumed, like KOA, for example, was assessed a rec fee and everything else that went just like any
they
other
may
landowner
be.
would be.
They may.
I know,
Maybe,
I know
but
it doesn't
we-
have anything to do with this ordinance, but
Yeah.
We're fixing that, but okay, this is
You
about
wanna-
solid
you wanna-
waste.
you
I know
wanna
we
put
need to
this
focus
in
on
place?
solid
no,
waste.
we're
I
making it
understand.
bigger. He's trying to deal with one thing, and
Mark
I
would
think
feel
we add
comfortable putting this
everything
to
else
bed, I
into
think,
Yeah,
and then
it.
let's
solid
talk
waste,
about it.
just to be clear, everybody pays for solid waste either by way of a special assessment that
And
goes in their
or-
tax bill, or the owner has dumpsters and
Yep.
has a direct account.
Yep.
There's nobody getting a free ride with solid waste.
Let's get through with this, and then we'll go to that.
But recreation, mosquito, I understand your points, and we've actually just today, I had a conversation with Dina Pittman about a meeting that she, me, Shane, Tony, Wright are going to sit down with her and talk about getting our arms around this among a few other issues as far as proper assessments on properties based upon the nature of the land, the use.
Okay.
Well, I just also think too, I mean, once again, this can be pitted as, Commissioner Turner picking on a particular sector of society, and it's not. It's me looking at the volume of population that has to pay for the indigent care and or the bad debt associated with Henry Regional Medical Center that is directly correlated back to the emergency room being used as a family practitioner's office, and how that all bleeds into everything, right into our school system, right into our health department, and so on and so forth. And so we have to start assessing those things. And if we have a rule in there that says you can't live in a hotel for X number of days, and people are circumventing that process and using it as a full-time residence, we need to start drilling in on that. And I'm going to tell y'all, and I've made this comment 100 times if I've said it once, this all goes back to code enforcement. It goes back to crime. It goes back to, you really want me to get out on a third rail. It goes back to human trafficking. It goes back to a number of other different variables, and none of them have a positive aspect associated with them. I know he just wants us to deal with solid waste tonight. One other question I have, garbage receptacles greater than 35 gallons. This is saying they're going to be able to provide, and they're already doing that, so we're just going to clean that up. That error is going to be remedied. Right. But on the mechanical containers,
Do we have any?
yes, ma'am.
So-
They're picking up most of the blue ones via mechanical aspect.
Or the ones that?
The second to the last item before the typo. Is it okay? Is it okay if people have a hole in the bottom of their brute 55-gallon drum? Will it still get picked up, or is that saying
Get picked up. That was for the large commercial containers.
okay?
They have a drain hole that's typically plugged. But
Yes, sir.
they can undo it to drain out, and our code says you can't have it, which they typically do.
And so they still had that, and people were still picking it up regardless. We're just cleaning that up as well.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay. We've made a motion in a second.
We have.
We have Commissioner Swindle, motion and second by Commissioner Harris. Anyone from the public speak? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I wanted to have all those chats with Mark privately because I know you hate that stuff, Commissioner.
Hey, Mark, and on that, and I know that there's some time involved, but I would love to hear back how that worked out. To give us some clear definition. If there's an RV park, what do they pay with regards to those assessments? And so we don't have to beat it up tonight, but that would be neat to know the results of that for our own information.
And I believe you just said that they get ready to sit down and determine who
So,
and
Mark,
what they are paying.
Yeah, is that true for the city too?
The statute that I'm talking about that dictates that we not treat RV parks as residential units.
Because the city was
is-
charging them a fee, but not as much as the county fee.
the same. They have their own statute. There's one in 125, which is our chapter, and there's one in 166, which is their chapter. And we just discovered it. I don't know about what Clewiston does or doesn't do, but I can tell you LaBelle was assessing RV parks as residences. I pointed it out to the city attorney, and they're in the process of fixing that, like we are.
Stuff out like that. We're gonna
Yeah,
lose
well, it's better
money.
to find it out now rather than have a private owner bring it
We've
forward.
been doing that forever.
Yeah.
So for the record, Commissioner Harris is pointing it out worse now
We need to correct that.
and saying we should stay
We need to correct
not
that.
in compliance with the law.
Right.
Good job, Commish. Election must be over.
You can tell.
We need to let the county attorney straighten that out.
He's not quiet now, is he?
Come back with a fee.
We're gonna move on to staff reports. Ms. Davis, is that Ms. Davis, or we going to FY?
Nope.
You know, am I skipping something?
No, you're good.
No, you're good. It says county
So-
administrator and then
okay.
the
I
sub
got
people
you.
below.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, you guys are going to give that up. You're going to give up that dirt. You don't have any reason. You're talking. Are we on the borrow pit? Is that where we're at?
We're on the borrow pit, and before I forget, under the options there should be an additional. I have A and a B. There should be a C. Declare a portion of the shoreline surplus as determined by staff.
Yeah.
We have the pond. There's a map. It shows what portions are owned by other people. There's only a few pieces where the shoreline is not owned. The pond serves as a stormwater purpose for the East County Drainage District. I want to recall that Bo Pelham told me one time that that pond didn't have a way out. It flooded, and there were some septic tank issues, and then they cut a swale, which
On the
we
north
piped.
side.
On the north side, which we piped when we built the park. So we don't want to give the pond up, but we could lose the shoreline easy.
You don't want to give the north end up. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Correct.
I don't want to give the center of the pond up because
Yeah.
we need it for stormwater, and we don't want to give the portion of butts by Bo Pelham Park because we have an outfall structure going into that pond.
All right, but so if you go on the east end of the park,
Okay.
on the east end of the pit, you got Mr. Williams and the Atkinsons and Mr. Ville and Mr. Spears and Chris and all them. Some of them they don't run in there. Are we gonna open that up or
We want to open it up and carve out a square into the pond like the,
okay, good.
like the other
so
ones
that
look like.
so those will all look uniformed.
Trying to make them uniform was
Yes, sir.
how far they extend elsewhere.
Shane, in your recollection, because in 10 years that I've been a commissioner, we've never driven a lawnmower or anything down there and done
You
anything.
haven't, and prior
Okay.
to that,
And we're
we
not
never-
going to.
I don't think
We're
you
not,
can.
and we
You
never.
can. You can.
And we never had access before we had the park
That's
because
good.
it was
Okay.
a landlocked parcel.
No, I'm glad we're doing this. Now you're going to keep the one if you dead end Pit Road, go completely east past Red Road and dead end into the pit. You're going to keep that.
Those two little portions that are at the end of Pitt and Lake
Lake.
Road, those two are owned. I think they're owned by the Swindle family.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's dad, your cousin, or who cousins. Those two are, and then
Okay. So that's gonna so then that's gonna remain to be that way it is. Okay. There's a commercial vehicle parked at the end of Pit Road that needs to be moved. It's been there for about 8 years. Just FYI.
Why you wanna move it now?
Big trailer.
8 years.
It's only been 8 years though. It's not that
and I assume you still want to hold a community meeting as staff recommended.
No, I think if you have this, I think you can transmit this to those constituents.
Okay.
And I think if you get any feedback that's negative, then we'll hear it. But I don't think you will. And I think I make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second the motion.
As presented with no community meeting, or?
We'll leave it scheduled, but
Okay,
I would just say let's be reactive if they want to have the meeting. I don't think they're going to,
okay.
because this is what they want, in my understanding from listening to everyone out
But
there.
they don't have no pressure off the water, none at
No,
all.
ma'am.
I
And to be
didn't know
clear,
that.
that the staff recommendation is as amended by him with C, which is to declare the land surplus that would be going to the adjacent landowners.
Those, with everything that Mark said,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
motion that Commissioner Turner, motion is second by Swindle.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion stands.
All right, Chairman, the next item I have for you is the solid waste MSBU large toters for collection of solid waste and recyclable materials for unincorporated Henry County.
One of these you gave us?
I sent you a quite lengthy one as informational.
I say nay.
I make a motion to table, time certain to first meeting in January, or y'all want to go December?
This the solid waste?
It's solid waste. There's, right now, there's no action being requested. It's informational because
So
when Mark did his public hearing, that was tabled, you had questions about the toters. This
Yeah.
provides all
You
kind of
don't need no
information for you.
action then.
No action's required,
Okay.
just,
We'd like for it to come back before us, though.
Let's
We
think about
need to engage
We
on
need
it.
to think about it.
Okay.
So we're gonna table this, they're asking that we bring it back to the
First meeting in January, Mr. Chair.
first meeting in January?
Yes, ma'am.
So we tabled that. Are we on the trim now?
No, ma'am. We're on a county attorney lap, I think.
Right, and I didn't have any extra items, so
So
nothing.
technically, we're almost done.
I'm above. Okay. Anyone from the public wish, are you finished?
no, I was gearing up for the next one. You get done talking to the public.
Well, where's I'm at? Cause there's nothing else up under here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Could I say something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, y'all, when I came and asked for a person on the tax deed thing, I went back just to see how much taxes we collected from October 1st of last year to September 30 this year.
She already tried to justify her position.
This is the back taxes we collected, and I took the expenses out of it.
Hell no, man. You cook the books.
We paid the tax collector $1,113,042.75.
So next year you should have two.
If I ever find somebody that wants to work.
Well, we'll find
Ooh.
you. We'll find you somebody.
Daryl Harris is on.
How much you paying there, Miss Butler?
What's the qualification?
I'm traveling a lot.
They gotta be very, very precise.
Uh-oh. I'm out.
So you,
Yeah, you're like spraying grapes.
I'm trying to tell you.
You wouldn't work.
Scattered.
have you had
all over.
applications?
Had two.
I'll get you some more.
You know, he's going to tell everybody that he made that happen.
That's how much that's how much back taxes we collect. And that's not including the lots that we
That's
put,
great.
you know, over.
We're going to beat
to,
Monroe.
It's cheated, that's cheated to the county that marking them have sold. That's not
Yes, you
including
can.
none of that.
So it'll pay for itself. It's paying
Yeah.
for itself.
Big time.
It's not on the county page because the county page is down. So it's not on the county page, and that's probably why you're not getting any feedback.
Usually the courthouse, it spreads like wildfire, you know.
So this didn't spread.
But the private sector is really gobbling them up too, though, right now, huh, Miss Butler? Yeah. So
Yeah, the ones that, the Port LaBelle lots, every time they come up for sale, we're selling them.
Yeah,
I mean, they're bidding them
they're
up,
waiting in
and they're
line.
buying like hotcakes, all the Port LaBelle lots.
Good.
Waiting in line.
It's awesome.
Wow.
So,
Okay, Shane, let's go.
Actually, I forgot, you have an agenda by district.
Yeah.
I gotta get these.
Anyone from the public have anything they'd like to say? Okay. It's business by district, am I right? Am I there?
you there?
Sure.
There? Okay, Commissioner.
You want me to go first?
Yep.
I hate to sound like a broken record. The loan status.
Yes.
It was something.
I did, it was
It was emailed.
the loan agreement and the promissory note are signed, which are the main documents. There's some ancillary documents that they haven't submitted the final ones to us yet. I don't know when you're gonna be ready to make a draw.
We're not there yet, but we're just waiting on them to send us
Okay.
the other documents. There's
So it's
like two.
documentation,
Yeah,
draw.
we're
You
on-
have projects in the hopper. Do y'all have it documented? Do y'all have any kind of document? You know, like Shane does a great job with his projects that he has going. Do y'all have something like that?
I have one in the making, and
Okay.
I'll finalize it and send it all to
Yeah,
you.
that'd be great. I'd love to just be able to keep track of it because I'm already getting questions about it. So that'd be great to be able to answer those and where that's going.
You know, it'd be nice to see what money we save from the jailhouse with the change. That'd be nice.
Money and save money in jailhouse. I don't belong with that, but that's not all in the same sentence. I don't believe.
It could work though.
Okay. As a clarification question, and I don't know if it's Shane, if it's Mark, or Ms. Davis, cities, they receive SCOP and scrap, do they not?
They receive.
Yeah, save gas tax.
Yeah. No.
For the record, Shane Parker, County Engineer, they receive, if I recall correctly, SCOP, not scrap. They
not
got
scrap.
municipal SCOP, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Small
And they
county
have their own
rural.
application process they have to apply for.
Plus-
Okay.
It's
plus
separate from
gas
ours. They're not in
tax.
competition with us.
Got it. Okay. All right. And you may want to hang close there for a moment. Is there any reason? Now, I know that there's a lot of history here. I know that there's a lot of back work here, but is there any reason why Hendry County should be in charge of any roads inside of city limits? Good example, Francisco, WCO, and Sonora. I know that for whatever reason, there's a lot of history. It was theirs, it was ours, it was theirs, it was ours, but it's ours now, and I don't see any reason why Hendry County should be spending Shane Parker and staff's time maintaining, planning, and handling that road reconstruction in the city of Clewiston. I would like to do whatever formalities as opinion, and if we wanted to make this official, then talk to me about it. But I'd love to engage the conversation. As we're finishing them up, like Francisco's on the verge of being completely finished, why can we not go through the paperwork and saying, thank you, City of Clewiston, it's been great, but now this is in your city. You've got 20 years to plan on your next time you're going to rebuild it.
I think we tried that one time, and I think they have to accept it.
Right. There's a statute on that. I looked into it you asked about this at a board meeting
Did.
maybe 6 months ago.
Yep.
And so I dug up the statute at that time and read it and discussed it with Shane. And I just remember us saying, well, this project it's going to happen imminently. And as soon as it's done,
We'll have to revisit it.
we'll revisit it. So he and I need to talk again now that we're at the end of Francisco to talk about what needs to happen.
And the other three are in the hopper. They're not far behind.
Right, they're not far behind, but I got a few comments. I wouldn't say carte blanche, any county road in the city should not belong to the county. I'd say if it's a road that's a major thoroughfare like Cowboy Way, Helms Road, where they move traffic across the county, because Helms Road goes from 29 to 80 through the southern blocks. Cowboy Way traverses through.
I don't disagree, but none
Those
of the
roads
three in question
but
here are due.
South Francisco, the city can have it. As long as that includes taking over the railroad maintenance agreement.
That's right.
But
And so
Shane-
why do we need to be involved in any of those three?
They have Sonora too.
Because
Yeah, Sonora's not a county
They have
traverse.
it too.
So that's what I'm saying. Why would we have our hands in any of the three? Why would our staff? Why would we need to be paying our staff the sweat equity to handle any of the three of those roads? The point's well taken, but I don't think any of those three fall into that
No,
category.
we don't have to have those three.
I would like to see us go through the motions unless there's some compelling reason we should not.
So is it county, Shane?
South Francisco's county because we're paving it. It
I know
belongs
it,
to the
but
county.
the ones he's talking about.
They're in the city of Clewiston.
They're in the city of
County
Clewiston.
maintained.
Okay, but what if the city says they don't want them? They want the county to keep them.
Oh, I got to get with Mark and see what the statute says. But
I
I
don't
don't
think
know if
you
we
can
can.
make
I don't
them
know if we
take
can make them take it.
Well, I don't think we might can make them take it, but I think the county's been over backwards for the city
Well, yeah,
in the
I
last
think they-
15 months, and and that's a heck of a will of good gesture. Not that I'm saying we should not, but surely they understand that we have our own sandbox that we need to operate in, and so do they. And I think that the time has come for them to take ownership of the roads within their city limits.
And normally,
They've got 20 years to plan, right?
Yeah, 20 years.
So surely they can do that.
Norm-
And it's not necessarily helping Shane because 20 years from now, who knows where any of us will be. But I mean, this is protecting the longevity of, your department and the person in your position, you or whoever it may be in the future.
and the road's up to par now.
They're brand new.
Well, because that's when you want to give them away.
That's
is
what
when
I'm
you
saying.
use-
As we complete them, like Francisco and WCO is in the works, and so is Sonora. So as they complete them,
And see if they'll take them.
I don't think we should ask. I think
but-
maybe as a politeness, but I think we need to point out the great wills of gesture that we have committed, and that.
First find out what the statute is, and you have to
Well,
go from there.
I'm not worried about the statute as much as I'd love to know what that map looks like, Shane.
What map?
The one I requested about a year ago. and 6 months again.
Well, that's the road. Last time we resurfaced every road in the county.
Yes,
That's a big project.
that is a big project. But I would love to know what that looks like, because I think that gives us a roadmap, no pun intended, to what is our intervals for actually paving, repaving, so on and so forth. What is out there that could be paved? You know, I don't know when the last time, like, I'll give you an example. Burr in my saddle is Art Lawrence Road.
Right.
You know,
That one I can look up.
I was probably an undergrad. You know, Art Lawrence Road used to be about 18 inches wider than what it is today. 18 inches is probably an exaggeration, but it was a better road than what the repaving job that was done on it is currently. But Old 27, when you passed Art Lawrence, I don't know if it's ever been done in my lifetime. You know, Flaghole Road, the Flaghole Road job that engineer Rock Abadaji and current county staff did, contrary to some opinions that I was trying to make sure we got a 1/4 inch of cover on it to make sure we had a road done so I could get reelected, was a really good project. You know, and I know y'all looked at the bases and went past the railroad tracks, and you had a lot more there than what you did on the front side. But it would be nice to have a road map so that when a bus runs over me, not by accident, and I'm gone, the new person that's sitting in District 5 can sit there and say, Flaghole Road was repaved in 2016.
Right.
And the prior time to that was 2008 or you know, 2002, and it needs, by God, it's up and due to be redone. Bloomberg from Deer Fence Canal to 846, last time it was done was probably, I'm going to say, probably close to 15 years ago. Now, we've done a lot of patching and a lot of things, but there's some dangerous aspects and not really good shoulders there. And my constituents in the Seminole tribe let me know about that often. They're tickled that we did the part from McDaniel Ranch all the way into the tribe, and they've gotten Snake Road underground. But, you know, just looking at those things and kind of being able to analyze that, I think, you know, to repeat what my old friend Tris Chapman used to say, what gets measured gets done. And everybody knows how much I love Tris. So I want to repeat what he said. To your point, though, Commissioner Swindle, I don't necessarily agree with you. And so that's why I want to look at that, and I want to see what that cost is for us. You know, what is it from a per mile basis, and then knowing that LaBelle's strapped, Clewiston's strapped. What are we getting from a gas tax perspective? How much are we pushing out the door? I don't know if it's unfair for us to necessarily pave those roads, because we do have a huge constituency that uses those on a daily basis. Everybody that's going to Clewiston High School, and they're not all from the city of Clewiston, you know, they take, that's Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm. And Sonora.
And Sonora,
Yep.
You know, and Sonora, y'all did a great cut and patch job. You did a great job on that. That's
when school started, yeah.
Made a tremendous difference. But, you know, I think that there's a concept here to maybe do away with those and let them be under their care, custody, and control. And I don't know what their infrastructure is able to handle. I don't know what they're able to do from a resource perspective. I know that was a big bone of contention moving into the election, and you know, I don't know how strapped they are. So,
well, I know how strapped we are.
I do as well.
And so just to your point, I mean, us, this is between 3 and 4 miles of road, you know, that we could focus on. You know, the folks that we are beholding to, not that we're not beholding to some of our constituents that are within those city limits, but I just feel like that's within their realm of their jurisdiction. And they need to handle that. We need to handle the ones that are in ours.
Wonder how it got into the county to start with.
Better negotiators on their end.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe it was something that it was a thoroughfare that we had to. Do you know, Shane?
Yeah.
Oh, how about them?
It was the state. It was on the state road network.
Oh, state
and
mandate.
The state transferred 833, 835, 832, and 832 was
all the way to 27 from right there.
It was the Davidson Road, South Francisco. There's some roads in Harlem.
Do you remember that when you used to turn right there, right at when you used to turn at Dixie Pride, that was said State Road 832.
Right.
And then it was State Road 832 again, because I remember I used to always hit that sign with a Gatorade bottle going to Cougar practice. Remember that?
Bugs.
Quarterback, that's what you did, bud.
If it's state mandated, can you still change it out?
Well, it was the state gave it to the county,
Hey,
and then there was like some roads that ended up with the city. I know there was one that was Martin Luther King. I think it was 731 from Cowboy Way to 80. That one went transferred to the city, but I think it went county, then from county to city.
So it was just a mandate that was passed down to us.
And then I don't know about North Francisco. I know it's not ours, and the city found out they own it, but I don't know if it went to us, then them, or just went directly to them. But I can find no record of that.
And you know, Commissioner Swindle, as it relates to that issue, I mean, I'm constantly accused, and I wear it as a badge of honor, of delving into other people's jurisdictions. I mean, look, how aggressive have we gotten in making the first request ever to the state of Florida that comes from Collier, Glades, Hendry, Highlands, and Okeechobee County? You know, we have all 5 of those Board of County Commissioners and all 5 of those school boards have endorsed a request to the state of Florida for $5.4 million to get the Glades County Training Center up and running. That's huge. And I think that we're not worrying about imaginary lines there. I think, recreation. Look at what we're giving to the city, even to the consternation of our county attorney, making us jump through a number of hoops that said we've got to do this, this, and this prior to being able to give them a bigger check, for constituents that are there. But we had a conversation there where the city of Calista was wanting to charge people $350 a head to recreate. That was silliness, and we knew that wasn't going to occur, but we still found them more money. So, I'd love to know what their golf course actually costs. They won't give us those figures. I'd love to know how many people actually use their facilities. We can't get those either, but we still give them a bigger check. And so we need to keep jumping into those things. I think that Shane probably has those dollars and cents, and we can delve into that a little bit more and know how much that actually.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you're going to look into what that looks like legally?
The statute,
Okay,
right. Shane
thank
and I
you.
will be working on that.
Okay.
Final figures from FEMA. At last meeting, y'all said you were really close any day to having that finished up, or we'd know exactly some of the numbers and.
We haven't received anything yet to answer that question.
Okay. All right. So we still don't have a final figure for what those municipalities
For debris, you're talking about
Right.
debris. I don't think we do, Shane, do we? No.
do not.
What we're hoping to get reimbursed, Commissioner Swindle?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the city is a lower portion, FEMA. a lower
Not just
portion.
from FEMA.
Cities.
But,
Right.
yes, sir.
That's right.
Right. So we're waiting on the final numbers. To
I
be
got
able
to
to
tell
give
you,
them
I'm
the-
sweating that like a cat with 9 tails in a rocking chair factory.
We get it
It's
all at the
bad.
same time from the county and
No.
it won't.
Heck no.
No, it's going to be, I just worry that we sit in a weekend event, could really be devastating to our ability to function as a county. And so we need to be sure that we do the measures we can to make that happen. And I've got a standing bet with Jennifer that
Yes.
I'm betting 10 years
Yeah.
on FEMA. And one's down, one's over, and so I think I'm leading. So she says no, it won't be that long, but we'll see.
They said it won't be that long.
Yeah.
They said.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that would be great. So please share that with us when y'all get that as well, if you get it. Last Wednesday, I was at a meeting. It was the United Way bi-monthly partners meeting, and it was absolutely amazing. And of all the folks that were in that room and the different organizations that they represented and the help that they bring to Hendry County, and it was even some that I was even unaware of. Lisa Sands does a phenomenal job there, and there's a lot of folks in that room that did. Who would be the proper person on our staff that I would like to request? Because, yeah, you could go around to each one and they would give you their card and the paper for what they did. But why do we not have a single sheet of paper that if you're a family in need of,
I know who that would be.
food or help, how could we not?
That back corner.
Well, actually, if you call 211,
That's right.
anything, if you call
But
211.
guess what? But my point is
Yeah.
most folks don't know to call 211. And so on
You
that
better
paper,
tighten
we
up
need
your
to
county
say,
administrator.
we need to. So you see what I'm saying? Can we get with Lisa and get a synopsis of everyone in that room? Let's get them on a single sheet of paper, or I could put it in my office, your office, the health department. If you're in need, break it down by if you need child services, you need food, and housing or whatever it may be. I think that would be phenomenal for our community to have.
I'm going to say this I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Sometimes we don't know because we're not in that need, but I promise you the people that in that need know to call 211.
Well, I don't think they do. I don't think all of them do. You know what I mean?
And you know why I think he's correct, Miss Bird? Because Miss Embledge has an account with $16,000 in it.
Yep.
And I know how many actual poor people.
Got to be more than 2.
There's more than 2.
Got to be more than
But
2.
211 wouldn't know to call for that because they had to come from Miss Emmett.
Or they don't have a phone.
But really, 211 will, if they was to call 211, I had a family that adopted everybody. They connected her with the elderly family. They connected her with someone to do her roof. So 211 is a good number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I may, I agree with both of you. A lot of people know, but not enough. And it's the same problem we have, is communication and getting the word out. Emily and I have met with a few of the community partners that we're trying to, round up to help us with, I guess, filling the gap that we have between what we can assist in and and then also what 2-on-1 can assist in, and everything under the United Way umbrella, but really also getting the word out. We've had a few meetings with a couple of the churches, and at those meetings we've been invited to more that'll continue to happen. And the Masonic group wants us to come and talk about the opportunities for assisting families and being able to get connected to the need. And with our effort, what we've done is we've put together, I have a draft memo that Jennifer has on her desk that outlines what our effort is. And with that, we would have attachments of all of the informational documents that would tell folks where to call for what. And on top of that, excuse me, a few years ago, we did provide you all with a list of all of the services that are available under the United Way umbrella and our umbrella. We just haven't brought it out in the last, few years to remind folks. But I do understand that the main challenge here is getting the word out to everybody. And, we're always open to that opportunity if anybody has any ideas. But I really do feel like we're making progress with some of these groups that as soon as they hear about what we're trying to do, they want us to come and talk to them about it and provide them with the information. So that'll help. But it's not the silver bullet.
So how are you getting the information to the churches?
Pardon me?
How do you get the information to the churches?
I've only met with a few of the churches and the church groups, okay? And we have a packet that I have drafted that needs to be signed off on. We will then do a widespread distribution to the churches and any other group that, that we can find.
Because we have a huge Spanish church in North LaBelle.
Yes.
And then they have several churches in Fortson Park.
Yes.
And those pastors would work with whoever to get the word out.
Well, some of those pastors were part of that initial meeting. We had a meeting with the ministerial group in Clewiston and a meeting with the ministerial group in LaBelle. And then we had one specifically at the First Baptist. Well, I have some learning to do. But anyway, we're continuing, but we haven't hit everybody. But our plan is.
Those Spanish guys, pastors don't attend those pastors' meetings.
Okay, well,
That's great. I appreciate those efforts. But do you think that, and just to reiterate and recap, a single source, a paper that had county, school, RCMA, you see what I'm saying? Is that something that we could do?
County schools. So
everything. No, Henry County opportunities if you need help in this. Henry County schools if you need to register a student or
our own version of 211 basically.
A paper. I know that we're in a digital world, but I just am afraid that we're leaving a lot of people out of it. And so I would love to see a single sheet, and then we could put it on our own Facebook page. We could put it on our websites. We could send in smoke signals, whatever we need to do. But along with what you're doing, I would love to see a single sheet that we can place around.
Okay. Well, I guess we need to confirm what all needs to be on there. What you're thinking.
I would say if you spoke with Lisa Sands.
I know what Lisa has,
right?
Because we've already got that list, but it's not a one-sheeter.
No, it's not, and it may be two sheets. I understand what you're saying.
It could
right, as condensed as possible.
Yeah,
right.
But and I think I've even gone a step further of envisioning when you call. I always call 675-5220 to get pretty much any question answered from a county perspective, and then I ask to get directed to it. And so I don't know if that's the correct way, but I've always thought, if you just had a version of someone sitting in there, you remember Bob that used to work at Walmart, the greeter, and then he got hired on at First Bank. that person that's in there making $9 to $12 an hour, that, they know where everything needs to get directed in the county, and then they have that resource available at their fingertips. But that's just a thought, But
Okay.
I know exactly what he's talking about, and I do think it would be I think it would be a useful tool that a lot of people would actually exercise.
But
I
you
agree.
need to get it on one sheet, though.
As
Not
much
two.
as, well, or front and back, you know what I mean? It needs to be as close, one sheet you can pick up and put in your pocket.
Then the
Yeah.
churches could
Yep,
give those.
that's right, I agree.
That's
The
one,
extra person that, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
that's one of the things that Jennifer and I spoke of, and we spoke of it in the past when Charles was here. But when Charles here, we actually was looking at the Harlem area.
Watch
But
Charles.
one thing about Henry County,
He did.
Big time.
it got to support both sides of the county. So,
Right, that's
and,
right.
and we don't have
Sure,
that. So that's one of the things we was looking at. But 211,
Ooh, fighting words right there.
well,
Sound like-
you're not running anymore, right?
Oh,
we need it on both sides of the
Lord.
county.
First.
211 is a good number. I promise you, anytime somebody call me
Watch
and
them
I call
Labellians,
them, they will give you the proper information. Even if you don't have that list, or if you give it to them, they cover so many areas, and you can't call it in, because somebody was asking me help, and I was in Orlando, and I called for them, but you're going to get Orlando area. So you got to make sure you're in your own area when you call, but they did connect me, but it is a good number. Before I move on to you guys, Shane, I have on here the drainage.
That's for after you can.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, at this time, I can do that because I'm grown today. You can, okay?
Tough guy, boy. Put in that chair seat, man. It's over.
Let their head.
He the one told me. You know that, right?
Anyway, they're working on the courthouse,
Yes, they are.
so that's a sight to see.
So they're working on two projects simultaneously, the clock tower and the historic building, and then the east facade over in the administrative building.
Did they give you any
side.
timetable on that?
So the clock tower project is to be completed sometime before February. And the east facade, I don't remember the days. 120 days total. So the idea will be to come back to you hopefully in December, no later than January, to approve additional, because they already gave us the cost for the remaining of the facade on the administrative wing. So they're there and they can stay there and keep going.
Does that include the windows that was bad and all that? Or is that separate?
Not attached.
They already have plans done for it. The architect did. They just got to update their cost estimates, and they're going to update the ones for that facades because they were kind of. It's been a while, but they're
Okay.
working on that now.
Then how far are we away from the jail?
So the jail, we were looking at a separate, so Alan and Janet Papineau and I had a 3-hour meeting week before last regarding all of the projects that we were talking about that I said I had something in the making that I will share with you all.
Okay.
And so we have the courthouse, we have the historic courthouse, we have the jail, we have the cemeteries, and then we have our administrative building. We have a few small other projects, but those are the big ones. And so we felt that you all had talked like you wanted to workshop it. So we were
But don't let that hold up anything.
So we're not holding anything up. So the things that we feel that we can do in-house have already begun. And so Alan has already started working on the repair type things in-house that we can do and that are emergent. The jail is we feel is a separate animal, if you will, and that we need to look at that separately and differently. And we can talk about that in more detail if you all did want to workshop that.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were.
Just so that we all have the time to sit and focus on that issue alone with regards to the payment, the money, what issues do we want to focus on, or what projects rather do we want to focus on, and how do we want to go about, and I don't know if we'll arrive at, do we hard bid them? Do we quote, what do we do? I don't know if we'll arrive at that in one meeting, but I think we listen to staff and we give some solid ideas, and
We should know by then.
yes, sir.
So we'll send out some dates for you all in an email, and you can let us know your availability, and then we can get it scheduled for
And
workshop.
I mean, do y'all disagree? I mean, I know Jennifer runs the county, but Jennifer, would you want Alan at that meeting to give us his,
Absolutely.
yeah, right? That's okay. And I mean, I want to listen to Commissioner Wills and see what he thinks, because I mean, he has a city. I want to know what Shane's thoughts are.
And the high sheriff.
Yep. What Sheriff Whitten says. Guys, I'm glad Alan thinks that, and I'm glad Shane thinks that. But I'm telling you, this is the number one issue, or these are the top three.
Need to get it up, get it moving.
But they did fix the leak, though, right?
I could not tell you.
The immediate needs we are working on in-house.
And then it quit raining too.
Yeah.
That helped.
Okay, Commissioner Turner.
Are you done?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Awesome.
Let's go.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to say congratulations to LaBelle High School. I'm so fired up about them getting to the second round. Commissioner Harris, are you going to Bishop Rowe?
I'm gonna try. Yep.
I'm not going to be able to make it. Do they have a charter bus going to the game? Do you know?
I doubt it. It's only 30 miles.
Yeah, but boy, you could definitely pack the stands.
They'll load the cars up.
They'll have a good caravan that goes over. Well, that's awesome. What's it been 20 plus years?
When they win, they show up.
When they win, they show up. Is that a jab at CHS? Is that what that is?
Oh,
That
man.
is a jab.
That's a jab at Clemson High School, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna lay the gauntlet then right now for next year.
No, we can't
Yeah,
do
no. Feel free. Come on, Commish.
We lose 22 guys.
You lose Bryce Hall, huh?
22.
All right. Well, I really am excited about LaBelle and what they're doing. It's awesome. Wish you could have made it to the game. I wanted to ask you all if we could set up a meeting, myself and Miss Davis, with the hospital and the people in charge of Henry Regional Medical Center to try to get through this debacle that we're having with the ambulance service. On 2 different occasions this weekend, it was hung around my neck that the county's dropping the ball on making people have to trauma hawk out for things, and that we all know that's not true. But I just want to try to cut through all the mind-numbing minutia associated with that issue. Ms. Davis and I met for a good little while today, and we spent a fair amount of time on that. We're going to look at the resources that the county has, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we don't affect our level of service, and hopefully we could even add some money to the bottom line of employees that are already engaged in our activities and meet a need that is not being met right now by Henry Regional Medical Center.
You mean specifically with hauling patients?
Yes, sir. And I want to look at the volume of non-life threatening, or I don't know if it's the acronym is ALS or BLS. I don't know all that jargon, Mr. Swindle, but from what I'm hearing is there's a pretty significant volume of non-life threatening patients that are being airlifted to other facilities, and we all know the exorbitant costs associated with someone being trauma hawked anywhere, along with the other costs associated with the firemen having to go out and shut down the road. There's a number of different variables associated with that. Shane, I don't know if you want to add something.
We've been digging on that hard here lately.
Y'all have been?
Yes, Commissioner Swindle asked me to look into it, and I had AECOM do a review of the flight patterns for the helicopters, their approach zone and their approaches. And I talked to R.D. Williams, I believe it was, and he was fine with not closing the road, but it was up to the transport company. Spoke to Travis Reese. Travis Reese says they do that because that's at the request of the transport company. And I
The
asked,
transport company doesn't exist.
No.
So it's an absurdity. It's something we've always been doing, so we're doing it. That's why it's done.
he's saying whoever's doing it now is saying it's being required, and we've asked that if we could have a meeting with the transport company and the hospital and the county to find out why are you doing this, because you don't need to shut
You want to
the road
bet
down.
lunch? You want to bet lunch that so first off, who's the transport company?
There is a transport company in place,
Who?
and it's
When did they get here?
it's there.
Are you
There's a
talking
contract.
about the helicopter?
Yeah,
company?
Helicopter.
You're talking about the helicopter.
Every time the helicopter lands, they say they got to
Not
shut the
the
road
ground.
down.
I'm not talking about that.
We're saying you don't have to.
Yeah, and so it doesn't cost us any more, which blows my mind. But so my understanding from RD.
Finish that statement, please. It doesn't cost us any more to do
All
what?
right, and I'll explain why. My RD Williams said they have a contract to transport patients that need to be transported. at whatever said point in time, the ambulatory piece of that got dropped. The company who was doing the
Positive
ambulatory
Mobility
piece
Transport said, we're not servicing you anymore.
didn't get not even like a 5-minute notification. They were just like, we're out, and left. The company what the contract was with that had contracted Positive Medical Transport said, well, okay, fine. Well, we'll continue to transport when an ambulance is available and we can get one from another area, or we'll just have the airlift do it. So the funds that we or Henry General are paying to said company has not been affected by that, was what I understand from R.D. Williams.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
It was hard to believe because it's a lot more expensive to operate aviation than it is an ambulance. But for whatever reason, now they knew in my conversation with us, they were very well aware that it was more costly. They were trying to get an ambulatory service back in place. I thought I understood that there was going to be one in place by now, but I've not seen any more, and I still see a high volume of helicopters in and out.
Yep.
That was my understanding of where we left it. The whole
How long
deal,
ago was that?
60 days ago, 30 days. I mean, it's been since August.
60 days ago. So
August,
So
yeah.
at the
August.
beginning of October, we were.
Yeah, it's not been. We've been actively working on it. Shane has been getting with AECOM and getting the information.
There's been a ton of
First of
people
October.
actively working.
Oh yes, yeah, and so they're in the middle of, which is a good time for you to to poke at it because there should be some information to surface there. Just to clarify, were you waiting to talk to the transport company, or was Travis going to do that?
I asked for Travis to contact and arrange a meeting between the hospital and
Please
us.
follow up, and if Travis has not done so, let's go back to RD and we'll ask RD to do
Okay,
that because
can do
we
that.
have.
But I have you.
firemen that's
You guys
costing us
are up
money.
for lunch, right? We got a bet on
About
lunch
what?
that
About what?
there's going to be no recollection of this conversation. Mark my word, that we will not have gone to a higher level in any food chain whatsoever. Everyone's like, oh no, I never said that. Oh no, I never said
Beyond
that. I
who?
never
You
said
mean
that.
like Travis?
Otherwise,
Travis
there's
I'm
no
gonna say,
transport company,
I'm gonna
what
say
he's
that
saying.
said transport company, which
Yeah,
no
no,
one can
yeah,
say
no,
who
right,
that
right.
company is,
Yeah, no.
is not going to say yes. We were the ones that closed down the road. Bet it up.
Oh no, I'm not. I don't bet. I'm
Take
not
the
betting that at all.
action,
No,
bud. You
I'm
said
out.
that's what they said. Take the
No,
action.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You said that Travis said to you.
No, he said that.
I said that.
See, there, see, should have been. You know, should have been. No.
You see?
I'm only relaying what was told to me.
Shane said that, really.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I don't doubt that you're wrong. And so it does become a he said, she
You don't
said,
doubt
to
that
the
I'm
point.
wrong.
So you may be right, but we're very close to getting to the bottom of it. Please follow up. And if like by
close.
tomorrow, if Travis hasn't done it, let's call RD and say we want to sit down with that company ASAP. Because the crux of it is what is costing this board money, or every time the fire trucks have to go out there, sometimes half a dozen times a day
In a night.
in a night.
Yes.
And shut the road down, that's costing us money for that to happen.
Commissioner, what I don't like hearing is that Hendry County, BOCC, is not servicing constituents that are in need of something, and we're running up the cost of everyday living because we're not parking an ambulance at the hospital so that it can transport patients, especially in a non-life-threatening situation.
Right.
I don't agree with that statement. I think it's wrong, but I want to drill into it. So it's another prime example of me getting into a jurisdiction that I have
Right.
no care, custody, or control over.
do, because your
But I'm gonna
checkbook
put my
goes over
nose
there.
all up in it, and it's a big nose.
That's our
So,
checkbook. We do
yeah,
have custody
absolutely.
and care of it.
That's
so
exactly
no, you're
right.
spot on
So
that.
you
And that's
saying there's not an ambulance parked at the hospital?
I'm saying
not to transport patients out to West Palm,
Like-
Palms West or something like that.
like-
Only to go
Only
get.
local?
so. No,
Right.
ma'am. I'm saying. So let me say what I know, Miss Bird. There are 2 ambulances today that are operating in East Hendry County. I believe one may be parked somewhere a little bit far outside of town. One may be parked somewhere near town, and they're doing their things to provide coverage. There are 3 over in LaBelle, or do I have that backwards?
No, it's 3 LaBelle 2.
3 LaBelle, 2 in Cloiston. That's the way it's been in the time that I've been on this board. That's the way it's always been. Today, if you are an inpatient at Henry Regional Medical Center and/or you come into Henry Regional, you're not a patient, and for whatever reason, the hospital does not admit you and hold you there. They say, you know what, said big toe is broken and you need to go see an orthopedic surgeon, and you got to go to Palms West, or you got to go to a group down in the Cleveland Clinic in Fort Lauderdale. There is not a transport company available sitting on standby at the hospital to put said patient in an ambulance and take them to a facility that is outside of our area. And our ambulances are not hired to provide that services. Our ambulances are here to provide services to Henry County constituencies to the hospital. And I'll go a step further to say, I don't think, and I'm not asking for it to be verified or confirmed nor denied, that our ambulance services have been requested to make those transports often, if ever, that they haven't met that request. But I'm not worried about that right now. What I'm worried about is trying to find out if there is a mechanism in place that would allow for an ambulance that is sitting idle, not one of the two or not one of the three, and take employees that have not overridden their hourly usage so that they can still operate legally and ethically and get the job done and still meet the requirements that are being requested from Henry Regional Medical Center. And now we essentially give Henry Regional Medical Center a tab for said services that are being rendered.
So on the further digging on that, it's a great idea, but and that exact question has been
about the
in this
paramedics?
conversation. Lack of
paramedics.
And so the only ones they had was on shift, and the other ones were at home crashing. So I believe
So
they
that's why
thought
I'm
about that,
asking
but
if
we
y'all are
don't
okay
have
with
the-
us delving into it. We don't have any more paramedics. We know that.
Right.
Remember, the key part of this is non-life threatening.
Yeah.
So why can't we get 2 of our EMTs and or put out a notice? I don't know what they would call it, but in the construction world, we say, hey, labor finders. Okay. Obviously, you can't have a labor finder in this situation.
Yeah.
So what does Palm Beach County have? What does Glades County have? If it's not a paramedic requirement that they're able to meet, then are we able to put another EMT into one of our rigs and meet this request? It's got to be a considerably amount less, even if we're paying OT for that person, than it is to fly a Trauma Hawk.
I'm going to say this. I know it is happening because when someone came to me, I thought they was over-exaggerating. But then I heard it another time. So everybody's not going to say the same thing. But I do remember there was a time that they did transport out because it happened in my family. So something changed in there. What changed, I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is something that changed because they used to transport to West Palm Beach, but I can't tell you what changed.
Ms. Bird, was that transport to West Palm that you're referencing, was it via a Henry County ambulance?
It was a Henry County ambulance.
Okay. All right.
It was not someone that came in,
Yes,
but it was
ma'am.
a Henry County ambulance.
Okay.
So was the hospital, when they was transporting before, was they paying the tab?
Yes, sir. They were paying the bill for positive mobility transport.
And then-
to Commissioner Swindle's point, and they did. I mean, they today they're offering that service. Tomorrow they walk in and there's an email that says, "Hey, we're severing this contract."
Did they bill the customer for the service?
I can't speak to that.
Okay. Then,
I would hope that they did.
And if we send somebody, does the hospital going to pay us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is the premise that I'm going with. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And this would be in addition to. So this is hopefully an opportunity for some people to get more money in their pockets, and more importantly, provide a service that is clearly needed. That's
Opportunity
not.
for them to be accountable.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that could work.
That could work, I think. So, and we looked at, a mutual aid agreement with the Seminole Tribe. They gave us numbers. The numbers were pretty substantial, but I mean, I don't know, time gets away, but I want to say it was 4 or 5 months ago that we had that discussion. It may have not been quite that long. But now when you start running the numbers, I hear that Trauma Hawk's about $25K per ride. It only takes a little bit of overtime, and you can cover that pretty quick.
I have to go back and look, but we talked about this when I first got on with the ambulance. So,
Yes, ma'am.
but I have to go back and look.
And then the last thing, Madam Chair, is I just want to say congratulations to my colleague on a job well done, getting back into your seat. Commissioner Swindle was talking about 20 years from now, and you've already served 5 terms.
5.5.
5.5 terms. So 20 years from now, that'll be your 10.5 term that you'll be finishing up there, and hopefully we'll have that Francisco issue figured out by
He
then.
can put that to bed for us then.
Yeah, so, but I really do enjoy serving with you, Commissioner Harris, and congratulations on a job well done.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
With that being said, anyone from the public like to speak? I have to make sure I say that Mark said. But anyways, as far as District 1 is concerned, everything is fine. Margaret, I'm so sorry to be the thorn this week, but I am your thorn in the flesh this week, but you'll get through it. But appreciate everybody at this time. The meeting will be adjourned. Follow the meeting. We'll have another public hearing concerning the drainage. Meeting adjourned.
We open back up.
Open it back up.
Shane, it's just a general overview.
General overview provided. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. There's no action required.
From a maintenance perspective, are you doing anything proactive out there? Obviously, you saw what was done with the United States Sugar Corporation property across from Shamrock. I don't know what that's called, but
The old borrow pit.
yeah, the old borrow pit as it ties into the Bo Pelham Park and everything. Any other things that you're hearing on the horizon coming up?
I'm not hearing of anything. The only thing proactive we're doing was that we got our annual spray contracts for the main canal systems that we maintain. And after Hurricane Irma coming through, we cleaned out the canals and stuff. Other than that, there's really nothing.
Shane, the canal that's on the east side of Mr. Original's pasture that is bordered by Davidson Road and Hookers Point Road.
Yes.
There's on the very east side of his property that goes up to Rouge Rivers,
Right.
JJ's. Is that East Henry County's?
No,
It's
that's a
private.
private ditch.
Okay, all right.
I got to get with Mr. Ridgel, see if he'd be willing to clean or what he would charge. But
Okay.
that would help drain some areas, but we do not have an easement or anything
Yep.
like that.
Yep. And then I know you and I argue about this often, at least twice a year. But on Kingsbury Road, what are we doing? You've told me leave you alone on it.
I've got to meet my guys out there.
Okay.
Some of the landowners.
Because what we found, guys, is that there's no reason why we haven't been maintaining that. So we're gonna start doing that, correct?
Start doing some stuff.
My man. All right. We gotta get that slope mower out there and make it happen.
Slope mower.
Yep. Good deal. Good deal. That makes me happy. And maybe snatch a few holly trees out
Oh yeah.
a year from now or so. Okay. Good.
Use a slope mower and grind them down. That machete arm out,
I think you are crazy for doing that, but
I do too.
yeah.
and then we'll
I
spray
think
'em.
that's way harder on it, Commissioner Swindle.
Oh, that mower's a wear item when you run it into them wood trees.
If
Like
I
that,
did
it
that
eats 'em up.
growing up, my dad would have beat me with something
yeah.
hard.
Those are made for that.
No, they are not. You're crazy. Shane, not East Hendry County, but I attended a great meeting last night in Pioneer, and the request was made by the constituency out there to look at to basically give an overall footprint of how the Mid-County MSBU drains. They didn't say this, but it was insinuated how that relates with the C-139 basin to the south, Collins Slough to the south as well, the Henry Hilliard, the Jack Spratt, the 42-foot, all of that system working together, and then looking at the east-west runners. And like one item that I wanted to ask was on the far south end of the weekly pasture that they have that's adjacent to Henry Isles Boulevard and Witt Road. I don't know if we have an easement there or not.
No, we don't.
That's an easy question for us to probably get answered in
They're
a positive.
all owned by the
not
easements are held by like Calusa Stables or something.
That Dean Daniels' group.
No, it was actually one of Joe B. Hendry's entities where he had easements and stuff. And, and that's how we found out was through Dean Daniels or when they were doing that pit there.
Yes, sir. Well, I'd like to find out what we need to do there, and because it was just brought to our attention last night that, as we all know, the system's only as good as its weakest link. And so, we have an issue in Flagler. I've talked about multiple times. We have a couple issues out there, and I'm just wanting to be proactive as we move into the dry season here. If we could identify some of those things and see if there's any way to move a larger volume of water. But I do want to stand by. I think that Hurricane Irma was a prime example of the system worked pretty dadgum well. If you look at the volume of water we had, and then were there any structures that were flooded? Were there any homes that were lost? I've heard anecdotally that there were, but I don't.
Mid-county or
in Mid-County. The only homes that were lost were North River in your district, right? Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wasn't aware of any that were flooded, but I did receive way after the fact reports that the southern end of the Mid-County MSBU experienced flooding from some of the residents.
Yes.
And then I had also spoken to the HOA president,
Curtis Green,
and he heard the same thing, but I didn't visually see it. There's no record of it at the Emergency Management Operations Center. So I don't know how deep it was.
Well, I drove down Vero, drove down Tampa, and then went into the back ends as well. And it was extremely saturated. I mean, and we had to cut our way down Henry Isles just to get down there to look at all that. But, and it was worse 72 to 96 hours after the storm because of that sheet flow south coming north, back trying to get back to the river. But when you talk to people that have been with the district longer than I've been on the planet, and they say they've never seen the Alico properties that wet, that it looked like when they got up in the helicopter and it looked like the ocean was touching the ocean, and then you go over to Bonita and you see a roof line, and it's the house, just the peak of the roofs in that entire development were above water. Man, it just kind of makes you knock on wood, put things into perspective and say, we were really, really wet. And and I know there's some constituents that are very angry with me in the corner right there at Woodlawn and Flaghole, or Tap, the back end.
Yeah.
But Central County had pumps that weren't operating, and they had a rotor, they had something that went out, so they were down 2 out of 10 going in, and that's really not on us. Now it doesn't matter. The county gets blamed for not having ambulances. The county gets blamed for that. It is what it is. But even there, I don't think anyone's home. It came right up to the stoop, it came right up to the step that goes into their house, but I don't think anybody lost anything, And just a mile or two up the road, past the S-135, where Wayne Smith's in charge of Flaghole Drainage District, it was dry as a bone, And they ultimately pulled boards and took water south. People would have liked to have seen that happen quicker, but, jurisdictions have to work together, and I think they did. So, anyway, I just, proactively looking at that, I'd love to look at those east-west laterals in the Mid-County MSBU and see if there's anything that can be done, if there's any of them that we don't have possession of, and trying to get some of those
We can
clean.
try to get easements from them.
Yeah.
That'd be nicer than right of entries.
Yes, sir.
Just keep in mind when we flow that water from Henry Isles, it's open, it's growed up.
Yes.
It's going to go to what they call the Myrtle Slough Canal
Yes.
alongside of Witt Road.
Then
They pump that full of water for irrigation, so if it's real high, that water don't drain,
It's
and
gonna
that's
back
why
up.
you see the water near 80 in Henry Isles backing up, coming down Henry Isles because they're holding it up.
yes, sir.
And it also goes across the road west of the store, under 80, to Mr. Cleghorn's farm over there.
Adjacent to Arcadia in that east-west lateral right there.
No, if you're right there on 8, just behind the Shell station.
Oh,
to the
okay.
west.
Not the store, the Shell station. I'm sorry. Okay, I know what you mean. Yes,
Water's
sir.
going up there.
So it goes into Mr. Cleghorn's Mafia Patch.
And
Okay.
those properties on the west side of Henry Isles, the back end of them should get wet because of that, because there's nowhere for that water to go. Because
So Miss
while
Harbuck's
they're
and all
wanting
that.
to drain,
Yeah.
the farmers are pumping it up high for irrigation purposes.
Yes, sir.
So
And all I'm talking about is the ability to get the water off in that storm event. So yes, sir. I'm on the same page. I
you
understand.
can
what you're
get
saying.
with, I believe, Mr. Weekly owns half the ditch, and then
Yeah.
the other half of the ditch is owned by
It's probably
the
Con.
gentleman on Kanawha. Your
Peter Amisagar? No, Mr. Tyrell. Oh, Mr. Tyrell bought that half pair. Okay. Nicole
it's
Tyrell
sold.
bought that.
yes.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I need your help on that, but it'd
Okay.
be those two individuals.
Okay, got you. All right. Thank you.
That's all being said, I tell you later. Anyone from the public wish to speak? At this time, let's adjourn us.